Jimin was standing outside Taeyang's room as he was conflicting with his own thoughts. He wanted to ask for help, but what if Taeyang was tired and he might burden him? And what if he was sleeping? Yoongi wasn't home, so he can't ask him for help. He kept his ears to the door as he tried to listen any sound, but there was none until the door opened and he fell on Taeyang, who was standing in front of him. He was kinda leaning on the door, so he fell. Taeyang caught him as he kept one of his hand around Jimin's waist and another holding Jimin's arms as Jimin did the same with his another hand on Taeyang's chest. Both of them got completely lost in each other's eyes until Jimin's phone rang. He immediately stood up straight as Taeyang let him go, and Jimin took out his phone from his pocket, picking up the call without seeing who it was. It was his mom. She wanted to ask and talk to Jimin about his first day in his university, while Taeyang was blushing because of the moment they just shared. Jimin tried to hang up the call as soon as possible as he explained to his mom that he was going to talk to her later after he arranges all his stuffs in his room. After hanging up the call, he looked towards Thea. Jimin, well, I was asking if you could help me with arranging my stuffs. I mean, if you're tired, it's fine. Thea, of course I can. I was going there anyways. Jimin, okay, thanks. He said as both of them headed towards Jimin's room, which was in the opposite direction of Theang's room, while Yoongi's room was beside Theang's. They arranged the stuffs as they kept on sharing each other's interests and many other things. Theang told about the university and the professors there. It was a comfortable conversation between them, while Theang's heart raced as soon as Jimin came near him or came into any physical contact, although he was still not sure if it was love or not. But it surely felt different, a way different than the relationship of a senior and junior or any friends. It was like something was pulling him towards Jimin, and not only because of Jimin's appearance, because of what he was. Through their conversation, Theon came to know a lot about Jimin, sharing many common things with each other. Jimin was quite friendly and cheerful, which made their conversation even more alive. If he wasn't there, Theon would have spent his time just looking at Jimin and admiring him while he helped him with his arranging. After about 1.5 hours, they were finally done with all the stuffs as Jimin offered to make dinner for everyone. But it was Theang's turn to make dinner today. So Theang said him to get fresh up and he could make the dinner. After some time, Jimin finally agreed and went to take shower. He took a quick shower before returning and getting changed. He ran towards the kitchen to help Theang, and he did. Sometimes later, Yoongi also returned, and they were also done with almost of the cooking. Yoongi got fresh up as they were done and had dinner together. Theang finally, I didn't had a boring day today, he said in a sarcastic tone, looking towards Jimin. Jimin, I know, right? It would be really very much boring to be with a sleepy cat who doesn't even knows how to talk to anyone. Just keep sleeping every time. After all, that's all he got to do. Lazy cat, he said, looking at Yoongi with his side eye and saying to Theang, Yoongi, yeah, yeah. I am very warning. I am glad you could be together with each other. I won't have to bother and listen his I am bored every single time. I can peacefully get my sleep now, he said as he ate his food again. Taeyang and Jimin kept on talking, but Yoongi didn't show any interest. He and Jimin fight a lot. It is very rare to see them talking nicely to each other. The night passed as the new day followed. They were in university, like usual, sitting at their usual bench and talking before going to the class. Jimin noticed the way Yoongi was looking at Hoseok and he was already shipping them. But what he didn't notice was Taeyang's stare on him. Whenever he looked at Taeyang, Taeyang would turn his eyes away, but most of the time he was looking at Jimin. As they talked with each other, the conversation went smoothly. As Jimin had become more comfortable with everyone, Taeyang always found an excuse to be with Jimin. Whenever he saw Jimin after his classes, he would run to him and felt irritating whenever anyone else approached Jimin or him, even if it was one of their friend. He mostly gets irritated by J-Hope since he is the only person who always follows Jimin. So he just finds a way to make Hosea go to Suga, while Jimin also supports it since he was already shipping them. He even shared it with Taeyang, so it became easier for Taeyang to get Jimin go to rooftop with him without anyone else. Rooftop was one of the places where Taeyang always found peace since people rarely go there. It was kind of dangerous because the building was really very high, but the view around from there was really incredible. So he liked being there in the silence. But since Jimin was there, he didn't left the chance of taking him to the rooftop. The time was passing smoothly with each and every day, Taeyang falling harder for Jimin. He didn't realize it yet that he was actually in love, but he just loved the feelings he was getting. Since it was first times, he didn't know what love is. All he knew the feelings he was feeling. They always thrilled him out. Those new feelings and emotions had become really very much overwhelming for Taeyang, and he loved it. He had never liked taking anyone to the rooftop whenever he goes, but it was different in Jimin's case. He just found it more comfortable and peaceful to be there with Jimin. Since Jimin was really very understanding, it was like he understands without even hearing it through words. Being unknown about the fact that Jimin can only understand his thoughts without hearing it. As the time passed, their bond grew more stronger with each passing time. Being together in university and also in home was like a blessing to Theang. He didn't know he would be able to spend more time with Jimin, just like he is doing right now. Although he didn't realize what the feelings were, he just knew that they were special. Jimin was special, and he made Theang special just by being there and understanding him. Theang was also a cheerful person. He never showed any kind of sad expressions in front of their friends. He had always hid it, but Jimin always comes to know about it without even Taeyang saying it. Since Jimin came, it had become harder for Taeyang to keep those feelings and his sadness to himself. Jimin was really a understanding person. He understood Taeyang without even words and never judged him. That was something Theang loved. Few weeks later, while Theang was sitting on rooftop, Jimin came there. As he noticed Theang, he smiled and went towards Theang sitting beside him. Taeyang seemed lost in thoughts, so he questioned, "When are you alright? You seem lost in thoughts. Is everything okay?" Taeyang, well, it's fine. Everything's alright. Jimin, but your eyes say something else. He said as he turned to look towards the sky. Taeyang, yeah, they might say something else. But the words in my eyes are not coming to my mouth. Jimin, you can share with me, Taeyang, you tell it every single time. But this time I just can't share it. Jimin, what is it about? Taeyang, something really very much complicated. Jimin, love? Taeyang, what? Jimin, well, the most complicated thing is love. So just guessed it. Taeyang, oh, well, related to something like that only. He said with hesitation, hoping Jimin won't catch it. Although Jimin was right, he was thinking about it only. He was just confused and struggling with his own thoughts. He just wanted to make sure if the feelings he had been feeling was love or not. But he just couldn't tell anyone. Who could he just take those advice from? He never shared such things with anyone. So they will think he was being out of character, especially his friends, except Jimin. But it was about Jimin, so how can he just share it with him? Or maybe he can without mentioning the name. Taeyang thought about it as he sat up straight and turned towards Jimin. Seeing the change of Taeyang's posture, Jimin also looked towards Taeyang in a serious way. Jimin, are you fine? What happened? Taeyang, okay, so it's like, how should I put it? Jimin, so it's about love. Taeyang, well, I'm not sure about it, but tell me what it is because I never felt it before. It's my first time and I have never experienced it before. So I just wanted to make sure. Jimin, well, I have neither. But just go ahead. I will try. He said with a reassuring smile, letting Thiang know that he could share it with Jimin. Thiang started. Thiang. So it's been starting lately. I mean, I like being with the person, get sad whenever someone approaches. It is overwhelming whenever I am with that person. He just understands me without any words. Jimin interrupted. Jimin, wait. He? Is it a boy? Here. No. It just came up. Jimin, by the way, who is the lucky person? Here. I'm not yet sure about it. I just can't express all my feelings in words. It's harder than I thought. I mean, I just feel really good to be with that person. Whenever that person is around me or with me, it just feels really good. And I just hope to have that person with me without anyone interrupting between us. I just want to spend alone time with that person. It just gives me happiness. Jimin, according to what I know, that's kind of symbols of love. Does your heart beats whenever that person gets closer to you? Taeyang, it starts beating faster whenever the person comes into my physical contact. We have never been such close, except one time. About that time, it did felt like my heart will come out. Jimin, oh, so do you miss him whenever he is not around you? Taeyang, yes, I do. Jimin, so it is really he. It's a boy, right? Taeyang, yes. Jimin, why are you scared about it? It's not like it's a crime to love a boy. Taeyang, it's not that. I just don't even wanted to tell you. He said to himself, Jimin, alright, I understand. And according to what I said, I think it's love. I'm also not experienced, so I'm not sure. You should ask someone else. Jin Hyung would be better since he is in relationship, so he might be better in telling you about these. Hyung, I guess so. Thanks for the advice, Jimin. Anytime, he said as he smiled, and both of them turned to look towards the bright sky. It was kind of cloudy, so not much sunshine was there, but the weather was really pleasant. Had became more comfortable with everyone. Thiang always found an excuse to be with Jimin. Whenever this day skipped as Thiang kept on thinking if he should ask Jin or not. The day ended as he finally decided to do so. The other day arrived as Theon directly went to Jin when he came to the university. He dragged him from there, leaving Namjoon a little bit surprised, but he just ignored and went to the university. Theon took Jin towards the ground and stood where no one was, in a corner, asking him about what he was feeling. Jin was quite surprised because it was Theon. Kim Theon. Jin, I won't believe it was you because you don't care about anything else than study. Theon, just tell me, what are all those feelings? Jin, you know what? Love is different for everyone. Not everyone feels the same. It might be something for one and something else for another. But I think all those feelings were love. But you need to figure it out on your yourself. Once you did, you will understand what it is. Just think about it. If you really want to spend time with that person, spend all your life with that person, or are you just thinking about being in relationship with that person? How would you feel if that person is not with you for about 5 or 10 days? Will you miss, will you forget if he isn't there for some years? Think about it and make it sure that if you are really in love or not. But I think you are, although it is unbelievable for me. Yeah, yes. I guess. Thank you for the advice. He smiled as Jin smiled back, tapping on Taeyang's shoulder. Jin, don't worry. You can do it. He smiled, keeping his arm around Taeyang as they left towards the university. Taeyang couldn't concentrate in his studies as he just kept on thinking about what Jin said earlier. But when he thought about being away from Jimin, kinda felt sad to him. He thought even one day was too long to be away from Jimin. Talking about 1 year, it's really, really very much. Considering all his thoughts, he just came to the conclusion that he was in love. And if he wasn't wrong, then he is not gonna lose love for Jimin. Even if Jimin leaves him for longer, it might be very much hard for him to be and survive, but he is gonna wait. As the day continued, it was a free time for him, so he went to the rooftop to have some fresh air. Soon he was met with Jimin, who was already sitting there. He was kind of surprised to see Jimin there because Jimin might have classes right now. He went towards him and said, "Here, what are you doing here?" Jimin, "Oh, hello, I'm Dave. I'm just sitting. You have free classes, I guess." Priyank, "Yeah, I have." "I don't think you have." Jimin, "Yeah, I don't. Just sitting here because I didn't want it to get roasted and become a ash because of that stupid teacher. He thinks he is savage. That it's just strange. I don't understand what he thinks of himself." Priyank smiled as he remembered about the last professor Jimin was talking about. He had it in his previous year. Only he knows how he came across that teacher and had to complete his year with these stupid things. Same way I know about him. Just don't hear anything else that he's teaching because he doesn't know anything else. He literally thinks himself as something else. Just don't pay attention to it. Women, yeah, I guess so I should do that. By the way, did you came to any conclusion about your feelings? Yeah, I asked Jin. He said I should figure it out on my own because love is different for everyone. Not everyone thinks the same as me. So I think Jimin, so you are in love. I guess so. Not sure though. Jimin, but who is the lucky person? I swear I won't tell anyone. Please tell me. Well, I can't. This day skipped as Theon kept on thinking if he should